this young boy come up off that neck into the trends. CLE be the band.
Welcome back to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host. How you feeling today?
Well, we're well within range. What can I say? We've had a busy last 4 or 5 days ourselves, attending a couple in person. Yeah, I mean, we're right there. It's I had a feeling after the show last week, we said one day at a time, but yeah, I mean, all it is wait day to day, watch to watch now. I mean, there's really not much else to say. I mean, yeah, another winning series. Took series in Baltimore. That was huge, especially considering the fact that we were close to possibly sweeping, which would have been absolutely nuts against a really good Orioles team. However, that Corbin Burns game Saturday, man, that dude was dealing, and shows you why he's probably going to finish second in the Cy Young voting to Tarik Skubal. But somehow we got through, and we're now 1.5 games on paper, 2.5 to clear either divisional team that's ahead of us. And yeah, we're down the last dozen or so games.
Yep. So the Tigers went 2 of 3 against Colorado. We had a very successful homestand. Took 2 of 3 from Colorado, 2 of 3 from Baltimore, and off to a good start against the Kansas City Royals. The Tigers are now 78 and 73, 5 games over 500. They're 7.5 games out of first place in the division, and technically 2.5 games out of the final wild card position. 1.5, but 2.5 with the tiebreaker. But the Tigers and Twins are going in 2 very different directions. There was a point in the game yesterday. There was a point in the day yesterday where the Tigers had given up a grand slam to Bobby Witt, and they were down 4-0, and the Guardians were down 3-0 to the Minnesota Twins. So it was looking real bleak at that point, and wasn't looking good for the remainder of the season. But yeah, things have just been going in our direction. The Tigers are the hottest team in major leagues right now. The best, as far as the best records since August 11th, mind you. At August 11th, we were 11 games behind the Minnesota Twins, and we were 5 games under 500, if I'm not mistaken. But we are 22 and 10 with a 688 win percentage since August 11th, and that's hotter than the Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Astros, Braves. That's your top 6 right there. But the Tigers being the number 1 team, and a good portion of that was with only Skubal and Keider Montero as the only solid everyday, starting, members of the starting rotation. But yep, since that time, we have gotten a lot more healthy. I'm not sure exactly when Riley Green, as far as the dates, when he got back into the fold, but since then we've gotten a lot healthier. Obviously, Riley Green is back, Kerry Carpenter is back, and in recent history, Reese Olson, who started yesterday, and Wenzel Perez also got back over the weekend as well. So, yeah, things are we're just not letting up, and I know the Twins are hearing footsteps, and they just continue to not get out of their own way, and now we are right at their doorstep. So. Exciting time. The Tigers have not had meaningful baseball this late in the year in a long time, and right now every game just feels like the next biggest game of the season. Like at this point to the rest of the year, every game is the biggest game of the season. So it's exciting, and we're here for it. We held up our end of the bargain and attended a few games. You attended Two. Oh, you attended two as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We covered a lot of ground this weekend while they were home. On the second, what was it? It was the second to last homestand. We only got 2 weeks left, so
Yeah, second to last.
But how was the environment on Saturday? That's what Saturday, right?
Yeah, I'd say like 90% packed. It was really full. Crowd was there. I mean, we got down there a little bit early to eat beforehand. So, we're talking about 4:00 or so, maybe 4:30, almost 2 hours for game time. And downtown was bustling, and it wasn't just with your generic Saturday evening entertainment, crowd. It was all people mostly decked out in Tigers stuff. So a couple people in some Lions apparel as well, obviously for the game they had the following day. And it definitely, once the game got going about an inning or two, just because, we're dealing with some earlier start times compared to last year, pretty much, right around 7:10 this year, it could be 6:10 to 6:40. But yeah, I mean, the crowd was there. It felt kind of like a little bit of a playoff atmosphere, at least, the fans are recognizing, like, okay, these are some big series, not just against any teams, but against, teams that are firmly either in the hunt with room to spare, or they're kind of in control of their own destiny right now in Kansas City and Baltimore. So that was it was good to see. Even though Colorado, when we went, didn't I don't think there was that many people there, but it was also a day game after kids are back in school and college students are back in the classroom as well. So, yeah, definitely by far the most packed game I felt. I would say fairly the most energetic. There are a lot of people there, but I think maybe some other games that we went to maybe had a little bit more energy for the diehards. But nonetheless, the number turnout was great. Downtown was packed, and I mean, I don't think 2 months ago, I don't think we would have been even forecasting this. We would have been like, okay, well, getting ready to close up the park for the winter and talk about the offseason. Now, here they are on this run, despite everything thrown against them practically. And like you said, I mean, I hope they hear footsteps, because they should be able to almost know what brand of deodorant we're wearing behind them. We're that close.
I was gonna say they definitely they know what we had for lunch. We're breathing down their neck so bad. So yeah, we're gonna get to our first break, and we're gonna continue. So I wanted to ask you, what was the theme for Saturday? I know they had like a special, ceremony or a special theme going on Saturday, but
Yeah, they celebrated their annual Los Tigres. Fiesta Tigres was the not really hashtag, but phrase they encourage people to use in social media when they're taking pictures and posting, just to honor the heritage background, the Latin, Central American, basically non-North American background, and influence and impact on baseball, and gives a little bit more, peels back a layer or two on some players maybe that we aren't necessarily extremely familiar with, gives them a little bit of cultural and heritage background, where they're from. They had different music and groups out there dancing pregame out on the field, creating a different vibe. They honored any of the coaching staff players, bullpen guys as well, that were representing any of those nations. And they gave away these little, kind of like t-shirt, nylon jersey or whatever, different fun colors, kind of like a softball jersey, if you will. But yeah, no, there were a lot of people. I mean, we got there a little bit early to get into the Tiger Den area that ended up where we had dinner, just because of other places were just packed. And it was 4:30, 4:45. I mean, well over an hour and a half for a first pitch. And all these lines were probably anywhere between 70 and 100 deep, just waiting to get in already. So that was unusual. That I shouldn't say unusual. We haven't seen that in a long time, I should say.
yeah.
But so maybe combined with the giveaway and a beautiful, really the whole week last week, was gorgeous for baseball. So, just a higher opportunity for turnout, and the fans did turn out last weekend.
Yep, and yeah, they definitely had some social media type stuff for some of the Hispanic and Latino players, such as the Ibanez and Kiter Montero. But on top of all that, Kiter Montero was AL player of the week or AL pitcher of the week? Probably pitcher, yeah. But he obviously had a complete game. A complete game, not no hitter, but
shutout.
That was part. Minimum. Yeah, he faced the minimum, had a complete game shutout. We nearly had a no hitter. We were a third of an inning away from that, and then on top of that, we on Sunday afternoon when the Lions were losing, the Tigers were making a comeback of their own. Riley Green were number 21. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, who is number 21 with no name on the back? But he was wearing the 21 to honor Roberto Clemente and hit 2 home runs in the ball game and wheeled us to victory. So an exciting homestand that had pretty much everything that you can hope for, honestly, especially with the Tigers winning. But yeah, we just don't let up. We continue to play well, and guys like Cole Keith and Matt Vierling and Trey Sweeney's hit a couple home runs as of late. Like I feel like we're peaking out and playing some of our best baseball at the exact time that you would hope so. And I mean, when you really look at the momentum, it's almost as if like, okay, one guy is starting flat-footed, and we're just on a full-on sprint as we head towards the finish line. So, this team is rolling. They got obviously they got a couple games. They got a couple games left against Kansas City. Got to continue to handle business, and the Twins have 3 more games, not 2 more games. This is not a 3-game series. This is a 4-game series that they have in Cleveland. Is it in Cleveland?
Yeah, it's in Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah, in Cleveland. Like I don't envy what the situation they're at all, because I would be sweating bullets right now as a fan and as a and as a player, because I was talking to one of my buddies who's from Cleveland, and I was, I had messaged him and was like, or I posted on his wall, I was like, we need you guys to sweep the Twins, to help us out. And he was like, man, I hope we lose them all, because I don't want us the Tigers right now. And I don't think anybody wants to see us at this point, because when you're on a roll like that and you got a young team that doesn't even know they're supposed to be, nervous, like, I mean, any and everybody is performing at this point. You got Zach McKinstry. He had another triple yesterday. And then he scored on a sac fly by, I can't remember who it was. Ibanez maybe, but I mean, you got guys like even Zach McKinstry who plays several positions. He does the little things. He steals bases when most of the players don't steal bases. He takes that extra base where you could settle at that double or settle at that single, but he's going to put it all on the line and put his body in harm's way to make things happen. And I haven't even talked about Parker Meadows. Parker Meadows is another guy that has been very instrumental and has played both ends. He's stealing bases too. You got a lot of guys that are playing the best baseball of their probably career right now.
Yeah.
We joke. Well, we weren't joking. We were kind of serious. We were like, we got a bunch of guys that are okay to good players. And I even, like, I stood on the borderline of Riley Green, maybe. But after this weekend, I feel like you can't. He's making a serious campaign to be a legitimate star of this team. I mean, you hit 2 home runs on Sunday, and we needed every bit of that because that ended up being some insurance. But I mean, have we not had enough heart attacks getting through these games, man? It's like we a little insurance won't, certainly won't hurt us. So, but yeah, I mean, what you got?
To piggyback off your Parker Meadows point there, he's did a little bit of digging just for this month for the most part. And in the 14 games that he's played, he's hit safely in 9 and reached base safely in 11 of 14 games, drawing walks in those other 2 games to reach. So, again, he had a great stretch when he came back. He's kind of been pretty consistent. He's sometimes had some games in bunches, then he'll cool off, but he won't cool off like some of the other guys have really cooled off after a hot streak. He might go a game, maybe 2, and then he's right back at it. 2 for 3, stolen base with an extra base hit. He's scoring runs, driving in runs. In that last 14 games, he's batting, pretty standard 268, 323 on base, 500 slug, OPS at 823. 3 home runs. He's got a triple, 2 doubles. He's scored 9, driven in 13, 5-15 walk to K ratio. So yeah, he is striking out a little bit. Not necessarily at a great clip, but I mean, when the ball's in play, his on base percentage, whether it's on reaching on fielder's choice or error, all of the above, I mean, it's up there. And when it's against right-handed pitching, he's batting leadoff, and they're batting lefty. At least he's getting chances. He's batting almost at the bottom of the lineup against lefties for the most part. But I think one other player real quick to touch on in terms of hitting well, we talked about the other day, Spencer Torkelson's on a 7-game hit streak and almost all singles with 1 double in that time frame. 2 runs, 4 RBIs, 7 strikeouts to 2 walks. It just kind of, first couple weeks back, he was hitting the ball with some authority, hitting some home runs, some extra base hit doubles. It's just, unless ball Kareem's around out there at Comerica, he's just not a guy that's really going to get that many triples. But in the last 16 games that he's played, talking about power and slugging, no home runs or triples, and he's got 2 doubles with 8 runs and 8 RBIs. And his slugging has dropped 17 points over that time, and his OPS has dropped 16 points as well. So he's putting the ball in play, but for the type of player that we need him to be as a power guy, the power has seemingly vanished at a critical time of the year. So I feel like those home runs you've mentioned about Sweeney, Parker hitting that one in the 9th inning, guys just coming around that don't hit them that often, but they're hitting them kind of close enough together to where they can make a fight out of a game where they got to scratch and claw a little bit more than they usually would versus hitting a long ball.
Yeah, I think that where he is kind of falling off in the power category, I definitely think other players have stepped up. You still got Green, you still got Carpenter, you still got Sweeney at the moment. You got other guys that can contribute in that way. And for a guy that has depended on that big long swing and to hit for power, I'm not mad at him getting some singles. Granted, sometimes there are little cheapies where he overswings and throws the outfielder out to where he takes a step back because he sees that exaggerated swing. I mean, whatever gets the job done. Overall, since he's returned back to the major leagues, he's now eclipsed that 100 at bat sample size, which is a decent enough sample size, and he's hitting 275 with a 794 OPS. He's got 4 home runs. A lot of those home runs were early on when he came back, and 14 RBIs. He's still striking out a ton, which is not good. But given the way, I guess it's really the strikeouts more than anything, which is something that I guess we're just going to have to live with. But I probably wouldn't have expected that his average was that high or his OPS. So whereas he hasn't hit for a whole lot of power, I mean, he's flirting with the 800 mark of OPS. So he's doing he's doing enough. I mean, he's certainly doing enough to where they're going to have to make strong consideration into him playing next year. Because I mean, 275, I'll take it. I mean,
we've seen him strike out. Nothing necessarily new for us, but I mean,
right.
And we talked about it a bit offline over a couple of games we went to. Now he's starting to, when he strikes out looking, he's starting to argue on a more regular basis about some of these pitches. And I'm like, and that at bat in the Colorado game, I believe we talked about, he saw 5 pitches. One was a non-fastball speed pitch because this guy was throwing either a sinker or a cutter, still 90 plus. And he didn't swing he swung at the sweeper and missed. And all the other 5 pitches, he pretty much either fouled off or he took looking. So it was confusing because we hadn't seen him struggle because the fastball has always been his pitch that he's driven exceptionally well. That's why it's like, yeah, okay, major leaguers should be able to hit a standard 94, 95 mile an hour fastball. But I know we noted earlier in the summer that he's really struggled with fastballs over like 96.5 or 97 miles an hour in terms of producing similar power numbers and RBIs. And so it kind of begs you to wonder what his approach is right now, where he's seemingly, he thinks he's locked in, but all these at bats are saying otherwise. At some point they're too close to take, and you don't have an opportunity to put the ball in play if you never take the bat off your shoulder. So I mean, I don't know for what that's worth, but yeah, I mean, at this point it's about not being a detriment in a lineup, because other guys are getting pinch hit for based on who's starting and what arm side they come in relief for. So he's really been the one that they haven't really touched in terms of pinch hitting for. At this point, I would really only see him getting pinch ran for possibly in like a late inning game at home, where they wouldn't have to worry about possibly that spot coming back around in the order. And you got a non-power guy technically in that spot going forward. But guys have been chipping in here and there along the way. I don't think really we've had too much help from the catching position as of late. So it's been everyone else in the field helping out. But, obviously Dingler and Roger still back there calling good games. So we haven't seen too many high scoring games as of maybe 2 weeks ago. But, every 5 runs is still the mark. So,
yeah. And we don't have a lot of options at first base. If you do pinch hit for Torkelson, I want to say the only other guy on the team that plays first base right now is Ibanez. I don't think there's another guy out there that plays a consistent or any first base at all, unless I'm mistaken as far as guys that are on the roster right now. Got a lot of outfielders right now. We got Malloy, we got Perez, we got Vierling, Green, Carp.
I would imagine whoever didn't start catching wise should be able to. I feel like that's a fairly standard thing nowadays. Is your catchers are usually kind of taught secondarily to be a possible like emergency first base backup.
Emergency, yeah.
And vice versa. Same thing with some of your outfielders. Maybe you got a middle infielder that's got enough, quickness in his feet laterally to get back there and put the gear on. But usually there's some type of, short list of, well, if shit really hits the fan, this is how far down we are semi-planning to go after that, maybe pick a name out of a hat and good luck.
All right. We're going to get to the next break and we'll be back. All right. We don't have a lot of roster updates to get to, but Coach, you want to get those out of the way?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I think the surprising one, just because of the initial injury and the response and kind of outlook for the first couple of days after it happened, didn't look all that great. But on the 12th, Wenceel Perez was reactivated from the injured list, and to make room, Ryan Kreidler was sent down. And then on the 16th, just the other day, obviously, because he started. Reese Olson was brought off the IL, and they optioned down Ricky Vanasco from Toledo, who they had acquired from the Dodgers, who I think did admirably well in the limited opportunities that he had, including I think he didn't get a win in his second appearance in extra innings, I believe it was. But he did what he was supposed to do, and it's just a matter of looking at the opponents and okay, we're gonna need one more fielder, we're gonna need one more pitcher, kind of deal, and it made sense. You're bringing a starter in, you've had a bunch of bullpen guys up basically to help plug the hole over the last 45, 55 days and change. So yeah, I mean, Perez has played a bit too since he got called up, so that's kind of been interesting to see. Just figuring, I thought maybe he'd just be called up for depth every now and again to get in there, maybe run, pinch hit late, but he's actually gotten some starts too. So I'm just hoping that does not throw off the mojo of the team while he's had been gone. But hopefully we get a decent outing out of Olson next. And aside from any other crazy injuries, I would expect those two guys to possibly be the only other guys can call up at this point. So
yeah. And the Wenzel Perez thing, he didn't start yesterday, but he did pinch hit for Kerry Carpenter with a lefty up, and so he batted, which is his weaker side, on the right side, and was able to get a 2-run RBI. So he didn't waste long to make an impact in a game that we needed to have. And as far as the who we got going tonight, we got Casey Mize, who has struggled since he's gotten back out there. He's going up against Cole Reagans, who's having a pretty good year. He's 11-9 with a 3.32 ERA. I expect that AJ Hinch to have Mize on a pretty short leash if he does not get off to a good start, which the start normally kind of, I don't know. I feel like for whatever reason, I feel like Casey Mize out the gate has a lot of issues. So I don't want to give him that, that type of energy going into the game. But he's been about, it's been about as nerve-wracking watching him start a game as it was for Maeda when he was in the rotation. This is another opportunity for him to turn things around because, Keider Montero, I think we were both quoted as saying, having some pretty choice words for Keider Montero, but he had another good outing yesterday. No, not yesterday. It wasn't yesterday. It was a couple of days ago, I think. But so we got 2 more games left in Kansas City. Like I said previously, the Guardians have Minnesota for the next 3 days, and then beyond that, I was actually trying to find out who the.
So quick, Cole Reagans has 2 starts against Detroit this year. Back May 22nd at home, he went 6 innings, no earned runs, 1 hit, struck out 12, allowed only 3 walks. And then second time around at our place, August 2nd, he went 5 2/3, 2 hits, 2 earned, 1 home run allowed, only 6 strikeouts, 4 walks on 97 pitches. However, that was all the runs that we would score that day, and they would win 9-2. So, and then at the first game too, they won 8-3. So bullpen has been tough against us with him behind bullpen behind Reagan. He's obviously a pitch strike zone guy. He's going to try and pound the zone. I mean, I'm looking at his strikeout totals as of late. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, 7 against the Yankees, 7 against the Twins, 10 against the Astros, 4 against Cleveland, 9 against the Angels, 8 against the Twins, 7 against Boston, and then 6 against us. So he's definitely had some success. So this could be a little bit of a pitching matchup, not really duel, but, a starter versus, our guys and make the right decisions and putting in different arms at the right time to keep us in a pseudo pitcher's duel, if you will.
Yeah, and the bullpen has been tough. Will Vest had some tough, had to face, I think he faced in the 8th inning, I think it was the 8th inning. he had to face Witt and Perez in a tight situation, and then Bo Brisky. I think a runner got on. He cranked it up to 100 miles an hour, painted a pitch on the lower outside corner. I know he threw hard, but he pulled that from somewhere else to ramp it up to 100 miles an hour. And then the next batter, we were able to ground into a double play where it looked like he was safe at first base, but they called him out. There was another ball where McKinstry kind of grounded it because he was kind of, I don't know, rushing it to get it out. But Torque picks some balls out of the dirt with the best of them. So that was a major hold for us. But as far as the Twins do not have it easy down the stretch. They are on the road right now in Cleveland. They have 3 in Boston right after this with no days off. And then they'll get a little bit of a break. They'll get a day off on Monday. They'll have 3 in Minnesota against the Miami Marlins, which I won't say. And then they close the year at home against Baltimore. So depending on what Baltimore's going on, they might be, resting. I don't know what they might be doing, but, Tigers can only worry about it so much. Right now that I think the game is 0-0 as far as the Guardians in Minnesota, but they got to continue to hold up their end of the bargain. They can't really concern themselves with the Twins. The Twins will twin. They're going to do what they're going to do. But yeah. How you feeling? How are you feeling going into the end of the year? And I mean, I don't think
my simple answer would be I should never have to hear Kenta Maeda's name called in a stadium for the rest of the year. Why the hell he was in there in that game Saturday night is beyond me, and why the hell AJ put him back out there the next inning is even more beyond me. And I mean, call it is. Young made a terrible mental mistake on a cutoff throw from left field, where James McCann was tagging up from third in left center, medium depth, not deep. For some reason, decided to cut off the throw because that runner had taken maybe 2 steps at most, 1 for sure. And for some reason thought that despite only being a few feet off the bag, cutting off the throw gave him a best chance of getting it out at that runner. Whereas, where we were sitting right behind pretty much, home plate in that POV, that angle, man, we definitely would have had a play. I'm not going to say he would be out 100%, but we definitely there would have been a play and a hard call to make for that umpire at home plate. Instead he got cut off. He went right back to the bag, and then didn't matter because freaking Gunnar Henderson hit a home run the next at bat, but it would have been 1 less run. And instead of, with the winning run at plate, would have been on base after the Parker Meadows home run. But that, and I would love the fact that Skubal should be pitching on normal days rest. And because I'm telling you right now, those 2 starts, they're gonna make a difference some way or another. And it blows my mind that this team is still taking a stance of we're gonna monitor some of our players, but yet you're not in the thick of the race. You are practically almost leading the race. There's only a few teams behind you. I don't consider Tampa a threat. They're falling back. They're like 6 or 5 games, something like that, maybe 7 at most. Boston, Seattle have their own tough games coming up. I don't know. You're doing all these things to keep players up and getting, with the roster and everything, and it's just like, Skubal for 2 starts is better than any. It really is. So we'll see here, though. With that and kind of lack of traditional starting pitching, I feel like they've had to rely a little bit more on their offense and their bullpen, especially, innings 6 through 9, and helping basically carry them the rest of the way there after most days. So, because like you said, Kiter was first. I think it's the first pitcher this year, other than maybe Jack, to go complete game. I don't even think Skubal hasn't gone into the ninth inning this year at all. So
has Jack?
Jack may have gone 8, but I mean, like in terms of that many outings collectively, as a traditional starting pitcher for this club this year, it's been very. I mean, I probably don't think we need more than one hand to count 7 innings or more. So, I mean, if we can get something like that out of Skubal, 8 innings, 10 Ks, just dominates, and he's efficient. I mean, I think that'll bode well for the bullpen, honestly. But we've lacked where we joked about it. Not the last 2, but the pair starts before the last 2. He had almost 30 runs of run support, and in the last 2 recently, he's had like 3. So, yeah, definitely totally different from the run support we've been able to provide earlier. But it's next man up scenario right now. Whoever's in the box, you just got to lock in, and it's a really it's a full team effort here. And I think part of this reason, like we talked about, like some of these guys are playing for a potential new contract next year. It may not be with Detroit, but I think being in the playoff race too is kind of calm some of those nerves. And for the most part, the guys seem to be just having fun. And I don't want to say they're comfortable, but they're not as anxious or as nervous as you would normally anticipate a very young team in this position to be this late in the year.
Yeah, we're going to get to the last break. I'm going to close things out here. Yeah, like you said, they seem to be pretty comfortable and not really making too many mental errors that a lot of these young players tend to make. And with the lack of margin for error, I mean, there's really no place. There's really not an opportunity to learn and go and bump our head and go through those growing pains. Yes, we've had a few mishaps as far as cut off, cutting off when you're not supposed to, and missing cutoffs and base running blunders that you can kind of put on whoever you want to put it on. Because I feel like most people, the energy was that Cora was sending him, so it was more so on him more than Torkelson more than anything. But I'm just really glad that because we could have used another insurance run, and that was an out at third. Is that the last out? No, it wasn't the last out.
No, it was the second out, I believe.
But it took him off third base, and there was definitely a definite opportunity to get some more insurance run, but luckily it did not hurt us. But to conclude on the Skubal situation, I mean, as of late, we've been better off with Montero than Skubal. I mean, mathematically, Skubal is going to always give us the best chance of winning, but honestly, they've been good. Everybody else around Skubal has been good, in spite of the fact that it not being us not knowing, the fans not knowing necessarily, or even AJ. I think AJ might, flip a coin to decide who's going to open some games right now. So, I'm not really sweating it too much. I've definitely seen Skubal lose a couple. I don't know if I've seen him lose or if they were no decisions, but I've seen him pitch like 4 or 5 times, and we've only won a handful of those games. So, I'm at peace with it. However things shake out, it is what it is. But as of right now, I guess if we're not going to see him in the Royal Series, so we'll see him in. So we should see him in the Baltimore series. That's the next one, right?
No, we've got. Let's see here.
Because he pitched the second game of the Rocky series. He missed an entire Baltimore. He didn't pitch in Game 3. He missed an entire Baltimore series, and he hasn't pitched in Kansas City, unless he's going to pitch the game tomorrow.
He's pitching. We pitched a day game Thursday that we went to on the 12th, but he's pitching the last game Wednesday night tomorrow. and then who will not pitch again? 1, 2, 3. See, right now they got him slated for Tuesday against Tampa, which would be basically your normal 5 days pitch on your 5th day, but that could change. I mean, if they were going to stick to that, I mean, they're projecting him to start on the 24th. So,
Who's that?
I mean, I'd rather have him start Tampa, first game against Tampa. I'd rather have him pitch in that game because there's not enough days in between the end of the Colorado series and when he's pitching on. I mean, you could skip him. I mean, you could bump him to Friday night against Baltimore. I mean, I would like that, honestly. But because frankly, I guess you need the wins as early as you can get them. And if he pitches game 1 in Tampa with 4 games left after that, I mean, I think there would be a chance that if it came down to 162 winning, you're in with our own, being 1 game over, whoever it is, I would be hard pressed to think that he would not make that last start. But again, if the front office is saying otherwise, then okay.
And I almost forgot that he had that incident with the line drive of his hand, and we haven't heard anything else about that. So I'm assuming that that's all good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought for a chance he was going to come back out for that game too, because I'm like, well, you need him. If he ain't hurt, he's not like he's throwing 105 pitches already. He was at a fairly decent pitch count. He had enough to go another inning, at least maybe another batter or two.
Yeah.
And like if there was any doubt, that would have been the time to do it. Yeah, okay, you got someone up in the bullpen going, but if he goes back out there and he can't do it, then okay, we know then something may be wrong. But if he can go out there and he looks fine, then why not? But that wasn't the case. So
all right, well, definitely got to tune in tonight. The game starts at 7:40. It's Central Time, so
our time 7:40.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely got to tune in. I may, if I feel up for it, I may go live at the end of the game today. But yeah, we're definitely scoreboard watching. Let's see if there's been any activity in the Twins game.
Check out
1-0 Twins. Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, that's what it looked like on mine. Braves up. Giants are beating the Orioles 3-0.
Oh wow.
Twins, yep, Twins. I'm assuming they got a home run somewhere.
That's what I was thinking too, but I didn't see anything.
He's got a hit. He's got a hit and a walk so far. And Boston is beating Tampa. So I guess that'll help finish off Tampa officially at some point in the next day or two.
And we need Boston to say,
You
got to keep pace with Boston.
Yeah.
But hopefully they beat up on the Twins too.
Like 2 out of 3. Take 2 out of 3.
Yeah. Don't do too much. Well, while we're sweeping over here.
All right, looks like an RBI single.
Wallner or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like he had the hit, walk, and 2. All 3 were in the same inning. That's why 2 hits in the walk. That's why they had that many runners on. Okay. All right, yeah. Buckle in, folks. It's down to the last dozen here after 150. It's down to 151 to 162.
All right, we'll wrap things up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube for the visual version of this content. And we are on all audio aggregators. We had a comment. Let's see what they're talking about. Average Farmer says, hi, how you doing, Average Farmer? I've never seen you before, so I appreciate you tuning in.
Welcome in.
Yeah, and this is for you. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers. We cover Lions and Pistons as well, and we are on all audio aggregators at Corner to Copa, of course, which you see in the logo right there. That Amazing logo created by our buddy Dave Stefano, who is the Minnesota Vikings affiliate. But yeah, we are signing out. See you guys next time.
Take it easy.